Of general topics that do relate to what this panel is about, actually, the shift, and how to handle that in your own personal life. And some of the things that you're being affected by, things like the changing in the way time is affecting our bodies, for example. So some of you may be exhibiting, having symptoms that relate to this, and we want to hear from you. Feel free to line up and share your experiences also. We want people to realize that with the changing times, you are going to change, and therefore you have a learning curve ahead of you. Even if you are already very knowledgeable, that's an intellectual process. We're talking about a spiritual process here. We're talking about an evolution of awareness that between you and the Creator, whoever that is for you, okay? And here we've got Jordan Maxwell is coming to join us in the panel. And basically, we've got a lovely, lovely panel here. We're very honored to have Jordan Maxwell with us. And I guess we should move these chairs forward, too. We have no choice because the podium is kind of in the way of the eyesight. So we'll sort of sit on the cliff here. This lovely person who's helping me with the chairs is Rebecca Jernigan. She is from the Midwest, and Camelot flew her out here on our own expense because she has been so valuable to us over the past year. And she's an intuitive psychic as well as a radio talk show host. She does a show called Journeys with Rebecca, and she has some very great insights, as well as just been a charming woman. We've had her on our radio show. For those of you who know that we do have a radio show. It's on American Freedom Radio. It's called Camelot, Project Camelot Whistleblower Radio is what we call it. And we're on Tuesdays and Thursdays Pacific Standard Time at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, for those of you that want to join us. And we do have archives in case you had no idea we had a radio show and you'd like to listen to some previous shows, one of which was with Rich Dolan, who is, from what I understand, because I was traveling in Europe at the time, Bill interviewed on the radio, and we're actually going to do a Camelot interview, a formal one, with Rich Dolan while we're here this weekend, so that should be fascinating in and of itself. Of course, you know Alfred Weber, he was just here. So I think I've introduced everyone that's on the stage at the moment. And basically the subject matter is how you're being affected on the shift. And we want to hear from each person. It's changing personality. It can switch you. I hope Miriam is around. I'd like her to join us, but if she's not, we'll have to do without her. She has a lot to say in the subject. It's very interesting what's going on to people as we go through and enter into this huge time of change. So let's start from that end and talk to Jordan Maxwell about this. You've got a mic.
Obviously there is some kind of a monumental shift happening on the earth today. Some people say it has to do with 2012, but I believe I see in the shift that's happening something very serious bad that's going on. I am beginning to see a mutation, I believe is the correct word, a mutation in the human spirit and in the human psyche, because people are being manipulated into falling into what has become known as political correctness. And political correctness is, in my opinion, purely Nazism, fascism, communism. And so, but people seem to give themselves over to this kind of thing because they don't have within themselves any spiritual grounding. People who are mature with their own spirit and their own grounding are not given to following the master and whatever the powers that be tell them to think. But I'm seeing in this country especially So many people in the population of America are quite willingly molding themselves to whatever their masters want them to believe and want them to think, and that's frightening because when, you know, the whole concept of democracy is in fact the worst possible form of government you could possibly have. There is nothing worse than a democracy, because democracy means it's the will of the people. And if you can get a whole nation, if you can dumb down a whole nation so that educationally and academically the people don't think, they don't question anything, and yet you tell them how to vote, and you get 50 million people going to vote the way you told them to vote, well, that's a democratic election. But the problem is that this country was not founded as a democracy. It was founded on laws. Unfortunately, today, it doesn't care. People don't care what the law is. It's whatever the masses of the people want. And I'm telling you, there's something going on today in the American political situation that is absolutely astonishing once you really begin to see what this whole administration is all about and what's really going on the world scale. So yeah, I see that there is some sort of a transition that the human race is going through. But I'm afraid it's some very serious things happening to the human family. And the only hope that I see is if enough people like yourselves begin to communicate to others. You don't have to be politically correct. You don't have to think like your masters would want you to think. Start thinking outside the box. Then hopefully maybe there will be some kind of a transition that will be better for the human race. But unless America wakes up, and America is the strongest country in the world, and if it doesn't wake up, the whole world's going to go under with it. So that's what's frightening me. I've seen too many people in America falling into line with the old communist, Marxist, Leninist, Nazi, fascist thinking, and that's scary to me, that's frightening to me, because people are giving up their own spirituality and their own sovereignty of mind to buy into systems. So what I would leave you with is that there's a word in psychology called projection. When people project their beliefs on you, or people project their ideas about what you should do and how you should think, do not let people project on you. If they represent themselves as government or the academia, it doesn't matter. I have never allowed people to project on me what they think I should do or what they think I should believe. So I would suggest that you keep an open mind and start, because your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. So keep an open mind and read and study and educate yourself, and to hell with this whole political correctness philosophy of the Nazis and the fascists of the world. Start thinking for yourself.
Okay, Rich Dolan. Thank you, Jordan. Let's hear from Rich Dolan, and I just want to say that Miriam Delicato has joined us, and so has Bob Dean. So we're quite a group here. Go ahead, Rich.
Great. Hi. By the way, it's a real privilege and honor for me to be here, and I want to thank all of you for being here. I hope to talk with every single one of you this weekend. Let's go for it. I'll be around. Regarding the shift, my attitude is that although I don't really focus on dates that I consider to be arbitrary, and that includes 2012, I do believe that we're in, probably every single person here believes that we're in the most dramatically transformative period of human history. As Alfred pointed out earlier in his lecture, the pace of history has increased dramatically, so much so that we're in a state of permanent revolution, maybe, to borrow a phrase from the past. So that we're transforming so rapidly that we are, in fact, reinventing who we are as a society, as a civilization, and, in fact, as a species. I think that in the lifetimes of most people who are here, you're going to see something utterly, radically different than what we